If anybody is there, could you please say hello? So we.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, there we go.
Yep.
Hi,
Hi.
Patty. How are you? Sorry, we're fiddling around here a bit, just making sure we've got all this right. Can you hear me all right? Does everything look okay? Maybe Patty can't hear me. Can you hear me, Patty?
Oh.
Hi, Jerry. How are you? Can you hear me, Jerry? Ah, good. We weren't too sure whether it was all working fine because we had to make some changes, unfortunately. So, great, because last time our microphones weren't so good, which we didn't realise until after the live show, and that was very low. So we got new mics, and we're actually using some different software this time, so hopefully it'll all go well. I'm just going to wait and see whether anybody comes on. We got Alexander. Great, thanks, Alexander. Welcome. We know where you are, Jerry. You're down in New South Wales. Alexander, where are you at the moment?
Patty's in Virginia.
Yeah, Patty's in Virginia. So just wait a little bit longer before we get into this. What we're going to do today is going to tell you a little bit about ourselves, basically how we got into this, how Ian got into jewellery. Then I've got a piece here that I'm going to talk about, and then we'll do a Q&A as well as some other information that I'll pass on. Texas. I wonder whether there's a bit of a delay here, which is possible. There can be a bit of a delay by the time we stream out and by the time you hear us, and we can see your response. So we'll get used to it eventually. Alexander in Texas, what time is it there? And you too, Patty, in Virginia. In the US, I think it's, what was it, between 3 and 4 or 3 and 5 or something like that on a Friday afternoon. I reckon there's a delay. Yeah, I think there's a delay. 4:06 p.m. Yeah, it sounds about right. I don't know about the time we've chosen because when I put the poll up to ask about it, we got a few different responses, and I was a bit concerned that being on a Friday for nearly everybody else except us, that was going to be a problem. Are we smiling? Oh, I hope so. We're both tired because it's so early. Not used to getting up this early. 5:30 is a bit too early for me. I'm retired now, so yeah, normally sleep in a little bit longer. So we might get started soon. Just give it a little bit longer, see if anybody shows up. How's it down the coast, Jerry? You get through our cyclone okay? By the way, everybody, we had a cyclone here just recently which hit northern New South Wales and southern southeast Queensland. Done a lot of damage, unfortunately. and Jerry was down in northern New South Wales, all the way from Canada to get out of the cold, I'm assuming, and unfortunately got herself into a cyclone. But all is good, I understand. I'm Morella. I hope I've got that right.
It's in Texas too.
Yeah, you're in Texas. So we might move on here. So as I said, what we're going to do is introduce ourselves. We'll tell you a little bit about how we got into this. We'll have a Q&A afterwards, and I apologise for the video quality. That's the best I could get it, unfortunately. With a new camera, I'm going to have to fiddle with it probably a little bit more if I can improve it. So I suppose I'll go first, and I'll tell you how I got into this, and then Anne can talk about how she got into jewellery. I've been in computers most of our lives, and we've got some notes here. Memory's not so good anymore. So I've been into computers most of my working life, probably the last 25 years, I think it was. So in a completely different industry, nothing to do with art, and probably the opposite of art, being very technical. And probably got a little bit fed up with working with computers about maybe 15 years ago, I think. And I always had an interest in art. Did some painting when I was younger. And about 15, 14 years ago, Hey Magali from Florida, I think it's Magali, I hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, about 15 years ago, I decided that I wanted to do something else as well. We looked at pottery, enjoyed pottery, but it was a bit impractical for us. And then basically a local guy here who owned a business and did a lot of glass work, and especially stained glass, was getting out of the fusing. He had a lot of bullseye glass, and we seen it as an opportunity to basically get involved in glass fusing. So we purchased all his glass. I should have purchased his large kiln at the time, but I hesitated, so I didn't get it. He had this beautiful big kiln, and yeah, that would have basically made a big difference to what I'm capable of doing. But anyway, I found a second-hand smaller kiln, put the studio together, and started experimenting. Basically started doing cabs at first, and then I think it was 13 years ago I did my first bowl, and that's the one we're going to be looking at today. So that's roughly how I got into it. I didn't have all the gear that I've got now. That's all been accumulated over the years, and looking for second-hand things. That's where my flat lap come from. That's second-hand, and actually a lot of what I got here is second-hand, or I've put together myself. So that's basically where it all come from. And I had a look at the site, and I surprised myself. There's 198 videos there. Wow, that surprised me. No wonder it seems like I've been doing this for a while. And the only other thing is that this is mainly a hobby now. We used to have a business. I no longer work. I don't work in computers anymore. And we used to have a business with the jewellery and that, and we've shut that down, so we don't do that anymore. So it is mainly just a hobby, and occasionally we sell some jewellery over at our local Cobb and Co Museum, which is a museum to the Cobb and Co country, which used to run the coaches around Australia back in the 1800s. So that's pretty much about me, how I got into this, and I'll hand it over to Anne, who's very nervous, and she can talk a little bit about how she got into the jewellery.
Well, never ever believed I could do jewellery, actually, until Jeff gave me encouragement to get into it and start it. So I started doing beading. I made necklaces and bracelets, which I really enjoyed doing, but I sort of wanted to do things that were more challenging, I suppose you'd say. And then that was in 2005 I started that. And then in 2010, the Common Co Museum, as Jeff mentioned, I went to there once, and they hold different classes for different art things. And I noticed that they were actually talking about doing silversmithing. So I spoke to Jeff and said, well, what do you think? And he said, yeah, go for it. So I did. I learned all the basics about doing silversmithing, and I really enjoyed doing it. So I decided I would develop my skills with that. And then with Jeff doing the glass, he started making cabs. And so Jeff designed up the settings, and I made them. And then they developed into these sorts of things, the pendants that I'm wearing right now. And I'm slowly developing more and more of my skills with making jewellery. I also, because Jeff does gemstones, faceted gemstones, I'm also starting to do settings and make jewellery with silversmithing in that way as well. And I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I'm trying to do more my style rather than, because I have been just doing the general jewellery, what you see in jewellery shops. But now I'm trying to explore and do more of like art settings, more of what I feel I want to do and put my feelings into.
And along the way, we've both worked and
Yes.
looked after families
Yeah.
and so forth. So,
Grandkids and all sorts of things.
yeah, which is a challenge in itself.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have a look at this first bowl. It's you'll have to forgive me because this was the very first bowl or thing I tried to make other than doing cabochons, and I should have had a few cabochons here to show you what I was doing. I was doing the puddle cabochons and some dichroic cabochons at the time, and I still do them occasionally. But yeah, you will have seen them around quite a lot. This is the piece that I made all those years ago. It is, believe it or not, meant to represent something like a spaceship or something like that out in space. The blue is the sky of the Earth underneath, and along the sides there you can just see some what were supposed to be like portholes. So that was the idea behind it. It didn't work out so good, unfortunately, and I'll show you why. You want to just turn it off, slide one down. That's it. We're back. So yeah, forgive us. We've just got to fumble our way through this, unfortunately. So it didn't turn out so well, and can you turn that one off?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it. Didn't turn out so well. There was quite a few mistakes, as you can imagine, in that first one. At the time, I thought it was great, but now I look back on it and I think, oh, gee, I made a lot of mistakes in that. And I don't know what you think, but and you might be able to follow me on this as to what went really so bad. So I'll just get in to show you that second slide again. And if you have a look at that, I'm sure you can see that the pieces don't join, the edges are all wobbly, and forget about the design of the portholes, that don't work at all. And that glass, by the way, is clear. It just doesn't look it because of the way I photographed it. So tell me what you think. What did I do wrong there? So why did I get those wobbly lines, and why don't they join up? I'll tell you what I think in a minute, but I would like to hear from anybody out there who wants to be game enough to have an opinion about what I actually did wrong. Actually, you can probably see a lot of things that I did wrong, unfortunately. I must look at the camera too. Has anybody got any opinions on that? No, nobody got any opinions. Well, we got a delay. Well, I'll tell you what I did wrong. If you look at the join there, it really doesn't meet properly. Alexander says, ramping the temp too fast. I could have done that, Alexander, but I don't think that really caused the pieces to separate and get all those ragged edges. So here's what I think. Mind you, this is 13 years ago. Yeah, you can turn that off. Okay. Here's what I think happened. And I've got to rely upon my memory. And most likely what I did, I would say I didn't make sure that those edges really met correctly. Marella is on the right track. Yeah, Marella says pieces are too far apart. I don't think they met tightly enough. I don't think I ground the edges to make sure they met properly. And I think the other thing that I did, which I would never do now, is I fired it with those on top of the clear. So it should have been upside down with those pieces on the bottom to hold them together to keep the line straight. I did it the other way around. And that meant that that glass, as it was melting and joining, all moved. And hence those wobbly lines and the separation of the gaps. So that's what I think happened there. Obviously now I would never do that. If you've got pieces like that that have been basically capped with clear or some other colour, you would put the top, you'd put it in upside down so that you keep all those nice straight lines. Like we do with strip construction. Strip construction, when you fuse it all together, it's the kiln side that retains all the straight lines, not the top surface. The top surface you end up with wobbly lines, and it's the kiln side that retains all the straight lines, which is why we have to turn it around and then clean it up and then do a fire polish so that we get a really nice top side to the piece. Can you put that last slide back up again, Will? Yes. The portholes there. Don't ask me why I did a black porthole. Not a very practical porthole, but then again, clear wouldn't have been, but I think it should have been blue at least. So it looked like it was the sky underneath. And probably the other one should have been blue too. Hopefully I've got better with my designs over the year. The portholes on the black, that didn't work out too well either, and I think that's because it's just a dilution of the, well, it's not black, it's actually grey. It's just a dilution of the grey, so it still looked grey underneath because I just put clear cabs on top of that grey. And really, if I wanted it to be transparent, I should have done something like drill some holes out in there and put some pieces of clear in there, and of course it would have all been turned upside down and it would have been clear. But blue probably would have been a better choice there, and if it had been opal blue it would have looked a lot better. Can hide that if you like them. So they're the things that I think are wrong with that little thing. I did have some deviate on it, which at the time I don't think I even knew about DVIT, let alone knew how to fix it. But there was very little. I couldn't photograph it for you, unfortunately. I tried every angle to get it. I couldn't get a decent photograph of it. It was mainly about, did you use glass tack on this piece? No, I didn't. I don't use a lot of glue. I try not to. I don't think I even knew about glass tack at that time, obviously, Alexander. This is very early days for me. But I would just put everything together, put it together in the kiln, make sure everything was close together as best I could, and fire it. So that may have also contributed, but really the glue should have burnt off well and truly before anything started fusing together. So I would expect. What was I saying? Oh, DVIT, yeah. Yeah, with the DVIT, of course, if there was very little, it was just around where the portholes were. For some reason or other, there was that little circular DVIT around the portholes. And now I would have, well, now I hope I wouldn't have got any DVIT around it, but you still do. I would probably have sandblasted it because it's a nice thick piece, doesn't have a thin surface, like a thin decoration on the top. I would have probably sandblasted it and fire polished it before I slumped it. Alternatively, I could have sprinkled clear frit over the top, refused it, and hopefully got rid of the DVIT that way. What else did I want to say? Because back then I could never have sandblasted it because I didn't have a sandblaster. And I did have clear frit, but I didn't have a sandblaster. So that's pretty much what I want to say about that piece. So I am open to some questions on that. And well, actually, before we get into a Q&A, there is something we're going to try today, and that's we're going to try and gift some memberships for the channel. I'm hoping everybody's aware of memberships on it. I can gift memberships, and unfortunately I can't choose who I gift them to. I can just basically buy some memberships, and then YouTube will gift them out to somebody, and apparently they do that based upon activity on the hi Jennifer, based upon activity on the channel. But we do want to try and gift out a couple of memberships, but I do need to explain a couple of things about that. Just hang on one moment. Thank you. I appreciate that, Jennifer, and I'm glad it's of some help, because that's mainly why I do this. So it is just a hobby, and I mainly do this just to share the pain of glass fusing, and obviously the highs as well. You probably missed most of what I was saying, Jennifer, because I can see you asking when did I start, how did I learn. Just very quickly, probably about 15 years ago. We're just talking about a piece here that I made about 13 years ago, which was my very first bowl. And I learnt through trial and error mainly. I think I bought a couple of magazines or books, and basically trial and error, made a lot of mistakes, but didn't waste a lot of glass because it always got used in something else. Memberships. We can gift memberships, but you need to opt in to receive them. So you may have already done this, because you can opt in globally through your account with YouTube, but generally you opt in for each channel. There are a couple of ways of doing that. You can opt in, you've probably seen the join button for memberships. Apparently when you click that join button, there's a dialogue will come up for you, and there's an option there to opt in to gift memberships. I don't think well, actually, no, you don't join. You just opt in to gift memberships, I think, because you can't receive a gift membership if you're already a member, obviously. And the other way is during the live chat here. Down the bottom of the live chat, there's a button with a $sign on it, which is what we're going to use to gift the memberships. And you should see something come up in the stream of the chat. And if you click on that, I think it then gives you the option to opt in and receive memberships. But because we haven't done this before, I'm not exactly sure how this all works. There is a link in the description for this video once it goes out on the channel. So this, obviously, we're going to do this hopefully in following streams as well, following chats. So if you're interested in receiving a gift membership and you're not already a member, look into that. I'll put that link in the description, which takes you to a YouTube page, help page, which explains it in a lot more detail than I can here. There's no commitment from what I understand. It's just you get the top tier of the membership, which is the one where you get to see the member-only videos. So you get access to that for a month free of charge, and there's no recurring costs after that. But if that is different, I would love somebody to tell me. One thing I hate about these sorts of things personally is where you get the free trial for a month and then it automatically starts charging you afterwards. If it does that, I won't be very happy about that, because I don't want to do that. I just want to give somebody a free 1 month membership and then leave it up to them if they want to continue from there on. So yeah, if that happens, please let me know if you receive one of these, and I suppose you would have to give your credit card details or something or other like that, which I'm hoping you don't have to do if you get one of these gift memberships. And if you don't have to do it, then obviously you can't be charged for the following months or anything like that. So check it out if you're interested. Be very interested to see how it all works, and I'd love to give some of these out. I'll just make sure I've covered everything there. I think I have. Yeah, looks like I've covered everything. So with that all done, let's get into the Q&A. Has anybody got any questions, or any questions at all, but especially any questions about this piece? I'd love to hear from you if you've got some questions about it, or you can tell me how I went wrong, whatever you want to say. I don't care. And I'll try and answer it. Or if you've got any questions about anything else, please ask. And if we've got a delay here, then we're going to have to wait until we see them, unfortunately. So, do you have anything to say while we're waiting on? No? Deathly silence.
We will. What I'd like to say is, the more we do these live chats, we will get a bit more organised with how we do things. I've made a few mistakes this morning. I'll get used to using the technology, and I'll be right.
Yeah, in the last few days I've been working on this new bit of software and the camera, trying to make it all work. Okay, what factors influence Alexander says, what factors influence the ideal firing schedule, and how do I adjust it for different projects? Oh, that's a good one. Jerry says, I have a dog. Okay. Alexander, what factors influence the ideal firing schedule? Gee, there are a lot of factors, in my opinion, that influence the ideal firing schedule. Honestly, I don't know that I have an ideal firing schedule. There's a fairly general firing schedule that I use over and over. And I probably tend to be a bit more conservative in that I have longer annealing times than that. And if it's in the ramp up, Obviously you're aware that you sort of get to 535. That's C. I can't remember what it is Fahrenheit, I'm sorry. And then you hold it for a while there. And then once you can get past that, you can ramp up much faster because you've got past the stress point of the glass. Now, the sort of factors that I think that you need to consider, obviously schedules for fusing and tack fusing and slumping and all that are all very different. But for example, just to go up and do a full fuse, the thickness is obviously a factor, which you will have seen in a recent video where I've got a fairly thick piece that I'm trying to do a slump bowl in it through a mold that I make. So because it's very thick, it's cracked. And the last time I tried it, it just cracked straight through. Now, that is sitting on risers, and it's very close to the elements at the top of the kiln. And I think because of the thickness, the top of the glass heated quickly, even though I only had it ramping at 100 C an hour. The top of the glass got thick, the center of the glass is cool, and it just went bang, cracked. So that is definitely a factor. How thick is the glass that you've got there? Because even heating, annealing is the opposite, but heating it up is the same. You're heating the glass up, the outside surface is getting hot, the interior is still cold. So if you do that too fast, it is going to crack. So that certainly is one factor that I would be considering. And probably the main one that I would think about when I'm ramping it up. Once you get past that 535, in theory you can go as fast as you like. I haven't found that. I've found that even after I get to that 535, if I go too fast, I'm potentially going to get other problems. For example, at 670 I go to when I want to do a bubble squeeze. So if you go a bit too fast, you've got to leave it a long time at the 670 to try and get rid of bubbles. And I think you can also crack it as well, because it's just, if you're just going too fast, the glass can't keep up with you. As you're heating up, the colour of the glass, believe it or not, matters, because some pieces will soften and melt earlier than others. So that is also something to consider, whether you've got some really strong contrast like black and opaque white as you're going up there. When you're holding it, obviously, it depends upon the end result that you want. Tack fuse, you just simply don't hold it as long. So, and again, colour there, because if you're tack fusing together darker colours, you're going to react to the heat much more. So if you're tack fusing dark colours together, you don't want to hold that as long as lighter colours, especially things like the whites, opaque white. Excuse me, I'll probably lose my voice at some point. Opaque white is very slow to react, and transparent as well. So that's something else to look at. And obviously when you're doing a full fuse, same thing. On the way down, the main thing is the anneal. And after the anneal, I generally always come down as fast as possible. Once I get down to, I hold it at 482 for the anneal. I think once you're down to that point, you've just got to anneal for thickness. If your piece is tack fused or something like that, then you've got uneven thickness in the piece. The general rule that I run to mostly, except when I forget, is that use the bullseye schedules for annealing, and they will recommend that you take if it's an uneven piece. If it's a single thickness all the way through, that's a lot simpler. Just check out their chart. If you're using something else, there'll be a chart from the supplier, and run to their annealing times. But if it's double thickness, uneven thickness, double the annealing time to allow for that unevenness. After that, thicker pieces, you've got to slow down that cooling. So I hope I've covered most of the factors. I'm sure there are many other factors, but that should give you a good idea of what I consider when I'm looking at a fusing schedule. And I think I've covered how do you adjust it for different projects. So I think if that's not everything, Alexander, just ask me again. Jerry, you asked if I have a dichroic piece and frit on black, how to use it. Dichroic piece and frit on black. If your dichro is on black, it depends upon the finish you want. You can take the dichro on black and then just put it on another piece of black, or you can just leave it as a 3mm piece and fuse it, and it'll all pull together into a nice round cabochon. If you want it thicker, put it on black or something like that with the dichro up, and you'll get one style of finish to the dichro. But often I put the dichro on black on the bottom and then cap that with clear on top. I prefer that look. I think that holds the colours of the dichro better as well. With frit, I'm not too sure how you're going to use the frit. That's the only thing. Probably need to know how you would going to use the frit. But if you go, you could, I don't know, sprinkle frit on top. Maybe you need to tell me a little bit more, Jerry. Stephen. Hi, Stephen. Glass manufacturers have suggested firing schedules on their websites. These are just rough guides and must be adjusted. Yes. Through trial and error. Yes, unfortunately. And yeah, that Stephen has raised a really good thing there, which I think a lot of people forget, is your kiln is going to fire differently. Everybody's kiln will potentially fire differently. And I think I've done a video about this somewhere, talked about cool spots. So if you've got a new kiln, make sure you do some tests, try and figure out where all the cool spots are, and how your kiln is reacting. And as Stephen said, most guides, the suppliers' schedules that they give you are just guides. And you'll find that pretty much any schedule, even the ones I give you, are just guides. So you do need to do your own testing. Don't just trust them and go with it. You may be fine, but it may not be as well, because you've always got to adjust it for the glass you're using, the COE of the glass and the kiln. So hopefully I've answered all of those. Stephen, you're a member. Thanks for your support. Really appreciate that. And I think you as a member can do something different on here. I think you get some emojis that you can use in the chat. Not sure how you get to see them because we haven't done this before. Yeah, there we go. I just sent out, you get access to those emojis, and I must add a few more too. Beckley, thank you. I don't know how I can take all this. I feel a little bit of an imposter at sometimes, but thank you, and really appreciate that. Jennifer asked, do you prefer any particular brand of kiln? Well, all of my kilns are Paragon kilns. And I've had there you go. Stephen's discovered the emojis he can use. I've never used any other kiln, and I don't feel a need to try anything else simply because the kilns I have all work perfectly. I don't have a problem with the kiln. The second-hand one, I've had to change the thermocouple in it, but other than that, I haven't had any real problems. Other than getting used to the kiln, basically. And yeah, as I said, it's just a matter of trial and error and doing some tests, and you get to know your kiln. The clamshell one is my favourite, which is the bigger one of the kilns I've got. It just gives me a lot more flexibility. Clamshell being at the bottom and the top all open up, so the bottom of the kiln is completely available and easy access, so you don't have to try and lower something down into the top of the kiln. So the clamshell is my favourite for getting in there. It's also a little bit bigger, allows me to do bigger pieces as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a little inspection window in the side, whereas the first one I've got has got a little inspection window on the side. It's actually, I think it was actually there for annealing beads and that sort of thing, because it has a bead window in the front. It's a little window that flaps up so that you could put, they're like formers that they make the beads on, and you put them in there so that the kiln can anneal. But yeah, a window in the little clamshell one would have been great, because when I'm slumping it, there are times when I would really like to be able to see into the kiln without opening it, especially when I'm doing something like like the mesh melt that I've done recently. You want to be able to look in, or you're slumping a mold, dropout mold, and you want to see where it is close to touching the bottom of the shelf, so you can stop it quickly before, especially if you don't want it to hit the bottom of the shelf, so you can stop it and stop that slump. So that's the only thing. To do that, I have to open it up. Fortunately, in a clamshell, I open the whole thing so it retains the heat in the top of the kiln. So with the other one, I open the top of it, which obviously the heat escapes very quickly out of the top of it. Right, just getting rid of something there for Anne so she can see better. Thanks, Stephen. Vickley said, hey? Alexander. Beyond slow heating, what advanced techniques can I employ to minimise? Okay, Alexander asks, beyond slow heating, what advanced techniques can I employ to minimise or eliminate trapped air bubbles in thick or complex fused pieces? Alexander, you sound like you've got quite a bit of experience to me. Advanced techniques to minimise or eliminate air bubbles in thick or complex pieces. So, well, I think it depends a little bit on the piece. I would say that if you're, like something that I've done is where I've had a base piece and I've got other pieces on that, and they're sort of scattered around, and then I'm going to put another piece up, a complete piece on top of that. Obviously, you're going to trap bubbles doing that sort of thing. So I've put pieces of glass on the corners to try and hold it up as long as possible. So you could do something like that. The hold a very long bubble squeeze, I use at 60, do that at 670, but I'm bullseye, which is COE 90, so you would have to find out what would be suitable for you. Trying to think of advanced techniques. I have used many pieces of glass in trying to make some paperweights. So I basically use a cup as a mold, believe it or not, just a ceramic cup as a mold. And yeah, I've got one here. Anne just pointed this out. This is a paperweight. That's actually made out of just float glass. So that come out of a cup, believe it or not. So I put a lot of glass into that, and unfortunately it traps air bubbles. And I've tried to figure out how to not get so many air bubbles. So in a way I actually like the air bubbles and this sort of thing, but that wouldn't be suitable in some places. I have found that I could reduce the air bubbles by putting larger pieces on the bottom and the smaller pieces on top in this case. But other than that, I'm honestly not sure, other than a long bubble squeeze, how you would get rid of them. Just remember that some of the glass, especially the bullseye glass that I use, some of it has bubbles in it already. And yeah, you're just not going to get rid of those. You can't just leave it fusing for ages and wait for them all to come to the top, because it just won't happen. So you can get bullseye glass that is totally bubble free, but most of the glass that we get has bubbles in it. Even the opaque glass has bubbles in it, because I've seen them come to the top with the opaque as well. So not too sure about that, Alexander, exactly how you'll get rid of them. Welcome, Chris. I hope I've got the pronunciation of that right. In Denmark. Thanks for joining us. Thank you again. Sorry, I'm just reading this. Excuse me. So, hi, Jerry. I see you got to go. That's fine. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, she's getting packed up to go. And yeah, we'll talk later. Alexander is asking, how can I intentionally create and control bubbles for artistic effect? There is a project that I've done which creates a grid of bubbles. If you go and have a look at that, that is made by tack fusing stringers onto a base piece, which is clear, and doing that on 2 pieces, and then taking one piece and turning the other one 90 degrees and fusing them together, and that will trap bubbles in between those stringers. And the reason it traps them is simply because the air can't get out of the sides, because they're black stringers. They fuse and melt quicker, so they don't give the bubbles any real opportunity to get out of the way. And if you're lucky, they'll end up smack dab in the middle of the square that those black stringers create. There is a video on that there, Alexander, so if you go and have a look for that, probably if you search on bubble grid or something like that, you will probably find that one. There are techniques that I've never used. I've seen people use where they introduce things like chemicals and that between the glasses, which create a whole heap of bubbles. If you go and put a leaf in between 2 pieces of glass and fuse it, you'll get some bubbles, but you won't be able to control them, unfortunately. Sounds like you've got something in mind too. You're talking about thick pieces and bubbles, so I suspect you've got something in mind. Thanks, Mickley. I appreciate that. Glad you like the videos. Grass from Denmark. Thank you. Okay. Anybody got any other questions they'd like to ask, and I'll try and answer them for you. What we might try now is try and do this gifting of memberships. Do you want to hit on that $sign? Let's see how this all goes. Right, if you choose membership gifting, so we're going to gift some memberships now. We're going to gift 5 memberships right now. If anybody has opted into this, you can probably accept one of these during the chat here. Otherwise, YouTube is going to choose who gets these. If you want to go ahead, love, and hit that, and you should see something come up on the chat screen. There we are. So if somebody clicks on that before it disappears. Oh, hang on. It's already gifted them out. Well, that's different. I never expected that. So it's gifted those out to 5 people straight off, just like that. Gee, I wish I could gift them out to individuals. But they don't really give us that option.
Stephen has asked you a question.
Stephen, could you do a video on how to source potential molds, direct purchases, homemade and potential trash and treasure finds? I've done a couple of videos about that. I have done a video about trash and treasure finds where we've used, I haven't got anything here I can show you, where I've used bowls that I've purchased, a whole range of different shapes, and the cups that I use for the moulds, they've all come from a, you call it trash and treasure, we call it either a second-hand shop or a cheapie shop, something like that. And we've actually gone and bought things as well in the trash and treasure area for moulds. We've got stainless ones for draping over. You're probably aware that you can use cocktail shakers, make a good mould for draping things over. I've bought plain stainless steel bowls that you can slump in. The only thing is I would not get a really steep-sided one, because the steel will contract quicker than the glass will, and it may grab it and crack it. But if you've got a nice curve on the stainless steel bowl, that should be good. Just line it with either kiln wash or boron nitride. Purchases, as I said, we bought things from cheap shops over here, which you can get for a few dollars, and just wander around. When I go looking for moulds in places like second-hand shops and that, I generally look for anything that's ceramic or stainless steel, anything that I think is going to survive in the kiln. Stainless steel is always a bit iffy. Sometimes you get stainless steel that's really not a very good quality and it will flake a lot in the kiln. But I've been pretty lucky with most of what I've got in stainless steel. All of the ceramic ones that I've picked up have worked fine. Oh no, there was one that I tried, and it had a little curve in, so it actually trapped the piece inside, and I had to break it to get it out. So very important you don't have anything that's got any undercuts or it's got any way of trapping the piece inside it, because you'll just have to break the mould to get it out then, and potentially break your piece as well, which is what I did, unfortunately. So another one of those learning episodes, if you know what I mean. Jennifer's asked, hope I've answered that for you. Jennifer's asked, have you ever tried making memorial pieces with cremation ash? No, I'm sorry, I haven't. I've never tried that. I've tried creating pieces with organic material between the piece of glass, and they have been, some have been good, some have been not so good. I think in that case it come down to the organic piece being extremely dry. Anything green just produces too many bubbles and really destroys the whole thing. So whatever you put in there, make sure it is very, very dry. Memorial pieces, I have seen some videos around about that, so have a look around, do a bit of a search around on YouTube. You might find some videos. You may even find some pages, some web pages that explain that.
You did do that one piece. It wasn't put in cremation, but they gave you a picture of their son that passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
you put the photo on the plaque.
Yeah, I was asked some time ago to do a piece. They had a headstone for somebody, and there had been in it I think the people that had done it before just used a ceramic tile. And I don't know how they'd done it, but they had put an image of the deceased person on that, but it had just faded, and I think it was probably just a decal of some sort, but it had just faded and gone away. So I was asked if I could do something like that, and I did by using a proper fusible decal, and we had to have it made up. There's a local company here that will take an image that you give them and turn it into a decal. Unfortunately, it has to be a large size, so we put a whole heap of images on to actually get it made up, and that worked out really well. We did a full colour image of the person on that, and from what I understand, it worked out beautifully. So that is the only thing of that type that I've done, unfortunately. So I've never tried to use ashes.
Ask the question.
Okay, Cress, I hope that I'm pronouncing that right, is Cress. Asks, what do you do if you have a big bubble which is not meant to be after a full fuse? My question, what do I do so I can get it fixed again? If you've got a big bubble, depending on how big it is, I've had pieces with large bubbles. I didn't think they were fixable, so I couldn't fix it. If you've got smaller ones though, and there's it's say clear glass on top or something like that, I have successfully taken glass frit, large pieces of glass frit, and filled that in and refused it, and managed to get it nice and clear without any little veils in it or anything like that. I did try it with smaller pieces. I put fairly fine frit in there. Don't do that, because I ended up with a lot of small bubbles in there. That didn't work at all. So if you're going to try and do something like that, put larger pieces of glass in there. If it's coloured glass, it's probably less of a problem, but I would try putting that same glass, pieces of glass in there, and trying to fill it out. It's a small one. If it's a small one, that's probably what I would try. I'd probably just estimate in my head how much glass I need, put a small piece of glass in there and refuse it, and that should fill it out. Other than that, there's not much you can do as far as I know. If there's any other techniques, I'm sorry, I don't know about them.
Okay, well, do you sell?
Mickley says, do you sell your pieces? Because I'm retired, we don't have the gallery open. We have a gallery at the front of our house, which we used to have open, but we don't have that anymore. We sell jewellery at that local Cobb and Co museum. They take it in there on commission, so they sell quite a bit every month. So that's a good little bit of income, thank heavens, from doing that. There is a local yearly art exhibition here, and I put pieces in that, and I sell pieces through that. But that's at the moment is pretty much all we do, to sell pieces. That's my pleasure, Chris, not a problem. I hope it was of some help. It's a real pity that nobody there got that gifted membership.
Yeah, no one.
Sorry about that. Maybe I don't know, maybe it was because you haven't opted in for it. So
Stephen's a member and he didn't get one.
No, he's already a member.
Oh, I see.
He doesn't need a need a free membership.
Oh, so, yeah. Sorry, beg your pardon.
So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Stephen can gift memberships if he really felt generous.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's strange.
Is there anything further down? If you want to hit that down arrow. Okay.
Yes, nothing else.
So no more questions. Anybody got any other questions? So we've got a goal up there. I have no idea what the goal option is for us up here. I'm just going to have a quick look. Excuse me a minute. Click on it. Oh no, no, don't have to worry about that. So I know we can put up polls and that sort of thing ourselves, but I don't know that we're going to be doing it. Alexander again asks, what are the best methods for creating custom molds for slumping, and what materials offer the most consistent results? Okay, what I've used is fiberboard, which I haven't got here. I just get fiberboard. It's about, I think it's about 1/2 inch thick that I use. And I will saturate it with kiln wash and let it dry, and I'll put multiple coats of kiln wash over that and fire that, and that will stiffen the whole thing up for me, and that seems to work fine. and I will shape it. So if I want to do an unusual shape, I will put multiple layers of that, saturate it with the kiln wash, fire it, and I will shape it, put more kiln wash on it if I want to get it smoother, and just go through that process to try and create the shape that I want. If it's just something like a dropout one, there is a video not long ago where I made a dropout one, and that's the one I'm trying to do, that thick piece that I was talking about. Haven't actually managed to get a bowl out of that new one yet, but I made that just out of a piece of fiberboard, cut a big hole in it, and rounded the inside edges, coated it all in kiln wash and fired it, and that should work fine. I've done things where I just use square pieces and you can stack them and then slump something over it and you get some really odd shapes. So at the moment, that is basically the only material I've used. I do have some cast-in plaster here that I'm wanting to give a go, doing some casting, and I thought, well, I could also make open molds with that. And the way I would probably do that is, I have a 3D printer here, is I would 3D print what it is that I wanted to cast, and then I would create a box, put the plaster in that, press the mold that I printed, or the piece that I printed, in that, and try and impress a shape into that plaster, and then fire it, let it cool, let it dry, which is something like about a week to dry, and hopefully that will work. So that's something I'm going to try. Other than that, it's mainly just the fiberboard that I've used so far, and a lot of repurposed things, what we were talking about before.
Garth wants to know about membership.
How much does a membership cost? Right. There's 2 tiers of membership. The first one is called Getting Involved, and that I think is, I'm talking in terms of Australian dollars here, so for you it will depend upon where you are in the currency and that, and obviously exchange rates and that. But in Australian dollars, that's only $2.99 from memory, that's per month. And then the next tier, which is a Getting Serious, is $4.99, I think, from memory. So they're not expensive. The first tier includes, you get those emojis that you've seen come up on the chat there a bit earlier, and member-only comments, and there's a few other things there that you get in that first one. It's basically there just to support the channel. In the top tier, you get the member-only videos as well. So, and I am thinking about doing member-only chats like this, but at the moment, not at the moment, but I might do that. It's just a matter of time, get enough time to do all of this. So,
Okay. She wants to know.
okay, what are the other Fuse class artists that you're inspired by? That's a really good question. I must admit, I don't really follow a lot of people on YouTube. I randomly look at different things. I look at a lot of videos that have got nothing to do with glass fusing because of other interests. But I can never remember names either. There's a style that I really like, and it's not patchwork, it's called, it's not a particular artist, but it's a style there is an artist that started this, and I can't remember his name, but there is a style where you use a lot of stringers on the piece, fuse it all together, then you cut it up into strips, and you just offset strips and create a really intricate pattern that I'm very interested in. I haven't tried it simply because I just don't have enough stringers to try it. But that's a technique that I really like. Crackle technique I like. I've seen a lady here recently when I went to visit friend Jerry down the coast. I've seen a lady there. She does a crackle type finish. But honestly, I don't have anybody in particular that I watch. I just like to look at a lot of different things that give me ideas. Funnily, that's an unusual word. The things that really inspire me are probably not other pieces of fused glass. When we went to Japan last year, I seen some techniques used over there, and I looked at those and I thought, ooh, could I do that with the glass? So that has inspired me. There was one technique done over there, it's Curacane, I think it's something like that, where they used really fine strips of foil, gold foil, or sheet gold. It's really, really thin, really light, really fine, and they actually cut it into really fine strips and created patterns onto things like they used lacquer to do it, and I think I did see somebody who used it in glass as well. But that absolutely looked beautiful. It's a Japanese technique over there. See if you can have a search around. I think I think Curacane is glass cutting. And that's another thing I looked at and I thought, oh, could I do that? That's my problem. I look at a lot of things and I think, can I do that? So I keep getting sidetracked all the time, which is why I don't do just one thing all the time. I think it's pronounced Curacane, is where you take a piece and they use a diamond wheel and they cut it, and it looks absolutely amazing. They have a cup that is coloured on one side. When you cut into it, it exposes the clear glass on the other side, and put some really amazing patterns into it. And I thought I could probably do that with the Dremel and some diamond pads and that sort of thing. Not diamond pads, diamond wheels I should say. Or I could do it on my grinding wheels over here that I use to shape the cabochons. And then use cerium oxide, which is what I use in the facetine of gemstones, to polish it. And I've done that with glass. I wish I had these pieces here to show you, where I've shaped the glass, I've ground the glass into a specific shape. Obviously I can't put it back in a kiln then, because if I put it back in a kiln to fire polish it will change the shape. So then to finish it I have used cerium oxide and a polishing wheel, and I've hand polished it. It's come up beautifully. So, and that was basically what I'd done. Believe it or not, I'll tell you about this, but I haven't got it here with me. I took a piece of I think it's petrified wood, piece of glass, and I glued them together with Loctite glue. I then shaped it into a pendant, so it was half actually petrified wood and half glass, and I just shaped it all up, and then I hand polished it just like you would when you're doing cabochons and lapidary, and it come up really nice. And that was years ago, and that glue is still there, that piece is still fine. So it's another technique where you could actually glue things like that together. Obviously you can't put it back in a kiln, but and you would have to hand polish it. I think I've seen, well, I'm glad I've inspired you, Mickle. So, and all the mistakes I made, I hope help. I've probably rambled on a bit here, I'm not too sure, but okay, any other questions? Is there anything else I can pass on? In the next one, by the way, in the next video, we'll do something similar, or the next live chat, we'll do something similar, and review another piece that was made very early in my time doing this. Do I sign my pieces? Alexander's asked, do I sign my pieces? And if so, how are you creating a signature or mark of authenticity? Yes, I do sign them. And I probably won't be able to show you. I would have to get the light in the right spot. It's too small. I wouldn't be able to show you. Little Dremel that I've got here. I've got a diamond bit on the end, a fine diamond bit on the end. I go on the back, and it's pretty much just write it on the back with that. And it's permanent. Can't come on, can't come off. And because it's on the back, you don't see anything on the front, but it's there on the back. So, and this one was called In Orbit. So I put the name of it, I put the year it was made, and then my initials on the back of it. I have seen you probably could sign things with
There's a pen.
yeah, there's a pen, something or other line. I can't remember what it's called. And you can pretty much write, if you want to put it on the front of your PC, you can pretty much write, put your signature on it or something like that. So my main pieces, I give everything a title and I sign it on the back. Pritchard says, that sounds interesting, but in a nice way to support. Thank you, Grace. Okay. Alexander, you're asking most of the questions, and thank you for that. I appreciate that. Otherwise, we were just sitting here. Any other questions? Not too sure how long we've been going, but we've been going quite a while, about 3/4 of an hour. How long have we been gas fusing? Well, this piece here that I was talking about was done in 13 years ago. So, and I was glass fusing probably for 12, 18 months before that. So 14, 15 years, something like that. Oh, somebody gave me a heart, or us a heart. Thank you. So we must be getting close to the end. What else was there? Something I need to mention is that a lot of people that subscribe, I've noticed a lot of people don't turn on notifications. If you haven't turned on notifications, turn on your notifications. That way you will be notified when I do a video, and especially when we're doing these live chats, you'll get a notification. So without that, you won't get any notification from YouTube. Other than that, you just keep coming back to the channel and you'll eventually see it. I've already scheduled the next one, which is next month. Again, it'll be the second, for most of you, it'll be the second Friday of the month. Thanks, Alexander. I appreciate that. And Marilla is signing out.
Bye.
My pleasure. See you later. Hopefully. Okay. What else have I got to say before we go? I don't think there's much else that I need to say. Just looking at my notes here. Yeah, this one will be obviously on the channel. Once we're finished, it'll go up on the channel. I've got to do a couple of little bits to it, but it will be available there if you want to re-watch it. If you've got any other questions after we close off, put them in the comments to the one on the channel and I'll answer them for you. And I think, well, Mickley has asked, what made you choose fuse glass as a hobby or career? Gee, it's so long ago, I've got to try and remember, but I think it was basic. Well, there's a few factors. One is that we already had a pottery kiln here, and we had done pottery classes, both of us, and I'm still interested in pottery, but pottery has an issue as far as safety is concerned, because it gives off a lot of fumes. So I couldn't put the kiln under the house here where I have the glass kilns. So I would have had to have built something outside of the house to put the pottery kiln in. Or I would have had to put a big vent in to vent out those fumes. So that meant that while I wanted to, and basically what I was doing, I was looking for something to do because retirement was down the track. And so I was looking at all my interests, and the fact that I couldn't use that kiln, and the fact also that somebody I knew locally who had a business was going out of their bullseye glass and was selling it all off, all contributed to basically choosing to do the glass fusing rather than the pottery. And I always, it's fascinating, not about you, but I find glass fusing fascinating. There's so many things you can do. If you look around and look at what's been done on YouTube. At the time, I had some books. It wasn't YouTube so much as it was just books that I'd looked at. There were some absolutely amazing pieces that people had done. So that was a big inspiration to get into the glass fusing. Unfortunately, it's not a cheap one. Pottery is a lot cheaper. Clay does not cost anywhere near as much as glass does. So every now and then I think, maybe. So don't be so. Actually, I should mention this. I do want to combine the pottery and the glasswork, and I've talked to doing a collaboration with somebody at the local pottery club, where I want to use the pottery to create the stands for the glass pieces, and any other little bits that I get in my head. Still got my pottery wheel, and we've still got clay here. So that may be something you'll see down the track, because I think the flexibility of the pottery and the glazing and the patterns and the fact that you can manipulate it and shape it, combined with the glasswork, would be absolutely fantastic. Yes. That's one of my favourites. Alexander has said he likes the one that's the burgundy and the glass squares. Really simple technique, great effect. Love that one too. Done it in a couple of different colours. But yeah, really good one to do. Very simple, very easy. Bit tedious making up all the squares. But yeah, in the end you get a really nice result. Mickley is saying she loves the artistic value of the fused glass and the scientific side of it. Yep, that's probably part of me as well. I'm into science, and as I said earlier on, I've been in computers for probably the last 25 years. I think I had one of the first computers that come into Australia, or first model brand of computers that come into Australia, which is the old Tandy TRS-80. So very much into science and astronomy and all these sorts of things. Hence, the first piece was a spaceship. Hi, Jay. I'm not too sure.
Jill. She says
Jill. Oh, Jill. There it is. Yeah. Hi, Jill. How are you? Where are you at, Jill? Let us know. Logged in from a different computer. My pleasure, Mickley. I'm trying to do more this year. Last year I got a bit slack, motivation, and a lot of other things happening in our lives, so I didn't put out as many videos, but I'm going to try and do many more this year.
And Anna's just joined us too.
Hi Anna, how are you? Anna combined ceramic and glass. It was a total mess. Great to see you, Ted. I don't intend to try and put them together. Though I've seen that done in PMC, precious metal clay, where they fuse, and that's to do with the jewellery. Precious metal clay. I've seen them actually fuse cabochons directly into the precious metal clay.
Mm.
So that's another technique if you're doing jewellery or cabochons. Have a look at that. You can get silver, precious metal clay, and you can get gold and bronze and all that. And you can take a cabochon and put it in the clay and then fuse the whole thing. Different fusing to fuse glass. My plan is to make the ceramic piece as a stand or as an extra in some way or other to a glass piece, so they won't be fired together. Madison, Wisconsin. Must be getting, no, Wisconsin. Okay. Early evening there, I would imagine. So, Jill, have you got any questions at all? You logged in before. I noticed you've said you logged in from a different computer.
She was on the last.
Ah, the last one,
did.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
that's right, our first attempt.
Yeah.
Which didn't work out so good because the sound was really bad. $5.23, yeah, I thought so. Well, it's 8:23 here in the morning. I'll give you an idea, on a Saturday. Well, if there are no other questions, yeah, we're waiting because I think there's a delay between when you guys respond and that. Yes, I'm always, Jill says, yes, I'm always here. No questions, just sorry I couldn't get on sooner. That's fine. We're going to do this every month. So hopefully I'll see you back then.
Anna's
Anna,
11:24
yeah,
at night.
getting late for you. And McLeay says, I'm in North Carolina. Yep. So I wondered about the US because it's a Friday afternoon whether people are working or what's happening there. But I was hoping it was late enough so that you could join at some point or other. That was the hard bit about all of this, is trying to find a time that suited, sort of across the globe, basically. But I do understand that most people that watch my channel are from the US. Okay. Any more questions? No.
Just remind them that they'll be at ones that I'm just joined. They'll be able to see it once you put it.
Yeah. So if you've only just joined, something normal, it'd be fine with me, sure. Oh, that's great. That's great. Just remember that you can see this afterwards. If you've come in late and you've missed the beginning of it, you will be able to see it on the channel when we're finished.
Grace, it's
11:30
Denmark.
Yeah, in Denmark.
Yeah.
Time to go to bed. I agree.
Thank you very much
Yes.
for everyone for joining. It's really been wonderful.
It's great. This definitely gives us inspiration.
It does.
Or motivation to do this more often.
Yeah.
Because it's great to make the connection and get to talk to you all. Part of the world is Alexander says, what part of the world is your strongest subscriber concentration? We actually can't tell as far as subscribers are concerned. I can't see a list of all the subscribers, and it doesn't tell me where everybody is. If you subscribe and you don't make it public, I actually don't know. I just know numbers of subscribers. Some ones that have made themselves public I can see, but I don't know where they are. But as far as viewers are concerned, I can see that, and most of my viewers are in the US. So it's basically the US the UK, and then Australia, and then sort of range of other countries around the world. But by far,
Majority.
I'd say probably, I think about 40% or something like that are the US.
Thank you for the hearts, whoever's sending them.
That's Mickley.
No.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh, the
there was
floating
shooting
ones.
across the
We're
screen.
seeing different things
Yeah,
here, honestly.
it's
because
really
we haven't done
strange.
this. There are little hearts floating up the
They
screen.
shoot through.
So I'm assuming somebody has sent
Sending
that.
them. Yeah.
There's a little heart button down the bottom there that you can
There you
click.
go.
There you go. There's another one went
Thank
flying
you.
up there. But we don't know who does it, so
No,
it doesn't tell us
doesn't
who
tell
does
us.
it. So.
But that's lovely. Thank you.
Actually, before we go, I should say, or should ask, is there anything in particular that you want us to do, say, in the next one, which is in April? Is there anything you want to particularly talk about, or you want to see that I can have here ready to show you? And if there's something that I need to do a bit of research on that I can help you with?
It's Jill.
There's
That's fun.
They keep floating up.
Yeah. We're getting all sorts of things.
It's fantastic to be able to do this. And
Yeah.
saying to Anne that it's just unbelievable that you can sit here and talk to people around the world.
Just amazing. Never
Well,
believed
it's-
we would be doing this.
It's just amazing. When I think back when I was younger and how the technology has changed over the years, it's absolutely amazing how it's changed. Everything from a little dial phone to now a phone that allows me to talk to anybody in the world and to see what's going on around the world in a very timely manner. It's just amazing. It's amazing and scary. And where the world is heading at the moment with this AI. How are we going to change with AI? It's just, I think it can be fantastic. Anne's giving me a nudge. So once I get into technology, I can ramble on for ages. Okay. Jill's saying I really need to learn more about firing schedules based on types of glass. I've already talked about that today. Then I'll rewatch. Yeah. Or if you've already talked about that today, then I'll rewatch. Yeah, I did talk about schedules. Alexander asked about that. So yeah, have a rewatch of that. Firing schedules are probably one of the hardest things to work out.
Alexander, we're waiting for it.
Yeah, Alexander says I'm waiting for a kiln with a window and Wi-Fi controls.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I was seeing something about that where there you could actually control your kiln and see what it was actually doing on your mobile phone. Technology. Thank you, Mickley.
What about?
Oh yeah, casting glass. Well, I'll have to try it first and see how it goes. So when I do a bit, I've got this thing I've had in my head for a long time where I want to make a glass box. And I think casting is the way to do it. I don't want to make it where I glue all the sides together. I want to make the whole thing out of glass, nothing else, with patterns on the side of it. So I've got to do some tests, and so members will probably see videos about those tests. And but there will be a project at some point that I'll do on that. Whether it works or it doesn't work, you'll still see it. Jill says, have you used silk mat? No, I haven't. Silk mat. What is silk mat? I'll have to look that up actually. Silk mat. I suspect it's something like a glass mat for embedding, or is it something like fibre paper or fibreboard or fibre wool? I think they use it. They call it as well.
I think that's something I got. What to do with
Anne has a something like a fibre wool. It's like a cotton wool type texture to it that she can put pieces on and solder on it, and the flame doesn't affect it at all. But I've seen an article somewhere where somebody used that. They used a piece of that and slumped on it, and they ended up with this really uneven finish to it, because I couldn't imagine you'd get a really fine or good shape out of it without it moving. Yeah, something you can use to make moulds. Jill just said that. Something you can use to make moulds. That's probably what I've seen.
Yeah.
No, sorry, I haven't used it. And in fact, I haven't even seen it for sale at the suppliers. So we may not have it available over here. So I'm not too sure.
Unfortunately, we are a bit short of supplies over here.
Yes, we've only got 2 in Australia that I know of that sell bullseye glass. There are suppliers for other glass and moulds and that sort of thing, but basically we deal with 2, and one is better than the other as far as having a reasonable supply of glass, but quite often they don't have colours and that type of thing, because they just have to import it from overseas, so it's a big task to bring it in. All right, well, we've been going for over an hour, and I'm sure some of you want to go to bed or want to have dinner or something like that. So thank you all for joining us. I really appreciate that.
Great.
And yeah, it's been fun. I know I've done most of the talking. Maybe we'll swap seats next time and Anne can do it.
No.
So thank you all very much for coming, and we hope Perth Art Glass is a distributor. Okay, it's all right. Jill just said Perth Art Glass is a distributor. Obviously, Jill's in Australia.
No, she's not.
No, that's right. You're not.
No, she's not.
Okay, you just did a Google.
Yeah.
Perth Art Glass is on the opposite side of Australia to us. I have bought from them, but yeah, shipping's an issue. So, last time I tried Perth Art Glass, they didn't have a big range.
Got some more new people.
Silk,
Dress.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have a look at that later. I'll actually have a look at that silk dress.
Timmy, thank you.
Okay. Not a problem, Tammy. All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you all. As I said, thank you all again for coming.
Yep.
We really appreciate that. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yep.
So bye for now.
Bye.